I'm getting no sound. As long as you can hear me, I guess that's all that matters. So, all right. Well, today we're going to be talking about your top 50 database and nurturing. And I'm going to do a share screen the whole time. So let me know if you're good and are able to see the share screen when I pull it up. So does anyone know what I mean when I say, and some of you guys have been on here, know, because you've been in coaching for a little while, what the top 50 database is? Do you guys know when I say top 50 database, why that might be different from, would you close that door and maybe come closer so I can look at the both of you? I sometimes the room is set up such a weird way. What I mean when I say top 50 database. Kim?
Oh, sorry. Hi.
Hi. No, I want to make sure I can hear it. I don't know what's happening again with the damn Zoom since we screwed things up, but my screen was really small. So make sure that you can hear and see. Can you see the share screen well on your end?
I'm trying to get back to it. I wasn't seeing it at all for a minute.
Can you guys see the share screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. Perfect. All right. So tell me what a top 50 database is. Anybody?
The top people who send you like referrals or you've worked with, people you're in communication with the most who support your business.
That is correct. That is correct. So here's what I'm going to tell you while I'm finding the information that I put in a folder that now I don't remember what I named it. We have a big database, right? So most of you use your database isn't Command. Command is a CRM, so your contact management that you put your database in. Some agents build a database for so long that it becomes marketable. Does that make sense? There are agents that sell their database to newer agents when they're ready to retire. So that's why it's so important to, one, have a database and have a place to house it, which is what we use in Command or other CRMs. And so that's what we're always talking about, classes that have to do with that. So I want you to understand that your database is going to be compiled of different things, one of which is a top 50. So I like to look at my top 50 as a tag. So how I define a top 50, and I'm trying to find it here, is, let me also start by saying this. You can start your top 50 database with 10 people. There's no reason why it can't be called top 50 because you're building towards that. So you can start out with 10 or 20, because I know some of you new people are thinking, well, I don't have 50 people to be in my top database. So you're going to start feeding your database with everyone that you know. That's not your top 50. That's just everyone you know that you're putting in your database. So the way I define a top 50 is this. It is someone who has, or I'm certain would, use my services or refer me to a friend or a family member of theirs. That's how I define a top 50. So that would mean that past clients go in my top 50, but you can equally be having a tag that says past client and not necessarily be someone that I want to continue to do business with. So you might not make it to my top 50. Just because I sold you a house last year doesn't mean that I want to nurture you to get more business from you. Maybe I do. You're still going to be in there somewhere and I'm still going to drip on you, but I'm not going to qualify you as someone that will give me referrals necessarily. So imagine this. Imagine that you have 50 people eventually in your database that you can say without hesitation would use you if they were going to buy or sell. They would never consider somebody else. And that if their friends or family or neighbors ask them, who do you know? Because we already know from stats that most people find their agent by asking someone they know who they use. That is how. So imagine that 50 people gave you just one name every single year, just one every year. And of those one they give you, only half of them actually ever talk to you. And of those half that talk to you to come over to, look at their house or show them a house, only half of them ever buy or sell. That's still pretty good odds, and that's one transaction a month. That's 12 deals, basically, on average. So if you just do one thing, which is to work your top 50 in a way that you know that you can get referrals, just one, every year, you can guarantee 12 transactions. If you have good, now mind you, there's skill involved too. This is just a system. So your skill involved is, can I convert these leads? So if someone says, I did what you said, and then but I got nothing, then I have to look at, okay, what's your scripting looking like and what's your conversion looking like? So that makes a difference. So that's why we really talk a lot about our top 50. Questions about that or thoughts, or anyone can give me, because as I'm talking, I'm not paying attention to what I'm looking for here. So give me a minute and ask any questions while I'm trying to find the folder here.
When does that come to fruit? Is that like 1 year later, 2 years? Like what's,
So do you mean when do they turn into?
yeah.
Well, I mean, like if you get one lead a year, chances are one lead from your top 50 a year,
Mhm.
chances are that person talked about real estate because they were ready to do something within the next year.
Mhm.
So that would still cycle into,
Mhm.
that year, I guess, I mean, Where are you, folder? Bear with me, guys. I thought I named it top 50, but it doesn't appear that I did. That's not it. Sorry, guys. What is going on? I did this like at 8 o'clock last night, so I don't know why I don't remember what the heck I named the folder. Let's go to the top. 36 touch. There we go. Okay. I don't know why I didn't call it top 50, but nonetheless, here we go. All right, so there's a bunch of stuff that I want to get through. So please go ahead and ask any questions, but I want to start with this. I'm going to jump around just a little bit. So things you can do today. This is all in the drive, and it's under the 36 touch campaign folder so that you can find it easier than I can find it. So here's some ideas of things of how you can start to create a database for yourself. You can define the top 50, and I'm going to give you the top 50 nurture touches, but I also wanted to give you some ideas on where do I find all these people? So like when someone says to me, I'm new to the area, which we have sometimes. I had a guy a couple years ago that moved here from California. He knew no one. He and his family moved here. I'm not sure why they picked Ohio or what the reasoning was, but nonetheless, they did. And they didn't know a soul. Everybody was out west. So he was truly, truly starting from scratch. So not all of your business is coming from SOI. So he had to look at things a little bit differently and start digging into, okay, I live in a neighborhood. So let's start farming there. I can do things on social media. And then of course his challenge then was, but I don't have social media friends from this area, So he really had to dig deep on how he can expand that. He did some internet leads and some other things, but got business from his dentist's office, got business from his local barber shop, got business from the kids' school. And that's how he was able to build a community, to be able to build a top 50 database, to have a successful business. So this just gives you some examples of things you can do, starting with scheduling open houses. Listen, guys, your fastest way, and I'm happy to say a good amount of you guys are doing open houses. The fastest way to get in front of a buyer that's raising their hand is by hosting an open house. I don't know, was everybody on? I know I saw a couple of you guys on Tuesday on the locker room, Rock Your Open House. I loved how Mary Lou, and I picked up a good handful of good tips on there. One of them was this: do not assume when you ask someone when they walk through an open house, or for this matter, when you talk to a buyer, if you say, are you working with an agent? And they say yes, and then you say, do you have a signed agreement? And they say yes. Don't assume that signed agreement is for like a length of time. maybe they only had a signed agreement to show one house. So in their mind, I'm working with an agent and I signed agreement, but it expired last week. So keep that in mind to, okay, great. So, asking more questions so that you don't lose those opportunities. But knowing averages, if you do 1 or 2 open houses a week, you're going to start to build a whole database from that. But anyway, you guys can read. So I'll let you guys go back later because I've got a lot of ground to cover. But I just wanted to show you what was in here that gives you some examples that you can start to do right now to start to build that database. Other ideas, and there was a list of them in here someplace. Has anyone ever heard of DTD2 as a way of follow-up? How about you, Kim or Carmisha? I know you guys have been in here the longest. Have you ever heard of that?
I'm not, I
I've
feel like
seen
I
it.
should have. but I
Right,
don't-
I've seen it, but I don't think I ever like dived into it.
Yep. It
Was that
just means
in bold,
a
Gina?
database too. It is in bold, Kim. So
Okay.
that's why I thought you might.
Okay,
Yep,
yeah.
it is in bold. So it's do the database too. And so what that means is, and the way you break that up is, and this gives you some different lead flow description, but a lot of people like to do the whole, I thought I was going to show it on here. They go in their database and they do A's and Z's today. And then they go backwards that way to crunch it. I don't love that order. I like to start up at the top and work my way down. I don't flow this way. I flow this way. I don't know why that makes a difference. I think probably because people think the last name starting with an A and a Z, you're gonna have a lot of A's and a little bit of Z's, and maybe you work your way that way in the alphabet. I don't like to spend that much time thinking through that kind of stuff. So that's entirely up to you. But this gives you some guide on building as well here, and daily goals. I did add in this folder some different trackers that you can be using. I know, sorry guys, I got new glasses and they are really good for me to see the screen, but then when I look at you, it's so blurry, it gives me a headache. So I'm constantly taking them on and off. Anyway, I just wanted to show you the different sources that you can be looking at when you're building your database and the different ways that you can organize and structure the follow-up. So there's this in here, but I broke it down and look a little bit prettier than that. And I'm gonna jump in there here. All right. So what is a 36 touch campaign? So I've got in particular, my top 50. So this particular touch campaign is not for the whole database. I don't know that somebody, in particular, a new person, could maintain this in this way with 500 people. I don't think you can. So let me preface this by saying, there are other touch campaigns in the drive and within our whole system in the locker room, as well as in Connect and Command, that breaks down different touch campaigns for different types of people. So like, wouldn't you agree? So Bree, you've got a good amount now, a good handful of past clients. You probably, unless they're on your top 50, you probably don't need to touch them as frequently and go doing pop buys just because now they've gotten into your top 50 database. You know what I mean? Some of your places have been really far away. Do you even want to try to get business in the area? And I'm not telling you that, I'm just saying you have to consider that. So we do something a little bit different for our past clients. We do something a little bit different for our SOI. Would it make sense to send something to our friends and family that we send to a past client? Some things, if it's market related, but not everything is going to go the same. So I just wanted to let you guys be aware. So I'm not going to do this 36 touch for every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's in my database. And you'll see why as I start to go through. I am in particular going to focus starting with my top 50. So every year, this is what I do. I start with my top 50 and then I start adding in others. So who else do I want to touch in this way? For me, it's anyone I did business with this past year. So that would be a past client. If there's someone that I want to continue to work with. And I say that because we all know There's really good transactions, and then there's ones that see you buy, never, please don't send me referrals, because if you hang out with people that are like you, I don't want to work with you. So like, there's always gonna be that. In any case, so that's up to you. So let's just hop to it. So in a 12-month period, and that does not start January 1, it starts whenever you're starting this. In a 12-year period, a touch campaign, and I would recommend you guys print this out so that you can have it always visible and in front of you. And then the next step from this would be to pull out your calendar. I don't know about you, but I can have a visual like this in front of me, but if it doesn't find its way to my calendar, it is not happening. I could look at it on a bulletin board every single day and say, I'm gonna do it, I'm doing it, I'm doing pieces of it. But if it doesn't find its way to my calendar, it's not gonna happen. So use this as a guide, but then build it out on your calendar. So starting with this, I have my list. So today I'm gonna sit down with my top 50, and maybe there's only 20 people in it. That's okay. And I'm gonna say 4 touches, a quarterly phone call. So I'm gonna say, okay, on my calendar, I'm gonna block 2 hours tomorrow, and I'm gonna start with my first batch. I'm gonna call 20 people, or if it's 50, I'm gonna call 25 today and 25 tomorrow, or whatever that looks like for the time that you block yourself. But I'm not gonna just put it on my calendar for today. I am putting it on my calendar today, even though I'm gonna sit down and do it right now, because I wanna be able to look back and say that I did it. And then I'm gonna decide, okay, if it's quarterly touches from right now in the beginning of February, what's the end of the next quarter? So then you're gonna look into April. We're not on an exact quarter when we start this, right? It's not gonna just be January, March, and so on. So then I'm gonna put it on there. Now I'm gonna call these 20 people again on this day, or 20 on that day, or however you wanna split it up. And then again on the following quarter, and then again on the following quarter. Right? So advance that. You can probably set it on your calendar to set you a reminder, because it's going to ask you the frequency, and then you can play around in there and it can set for you of how frequent. And then you can keep recycling it. So put it on your calendar. 4 touches is a quarterly phone call. We talked about this in scripting. What are we saying on that call? What do we think we're saying on that call? When we're just doing a quarterly call, what are we saying? We just talked about this in scripting 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Ask about family or work.
Thank you. So forward.
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I knew, I was like, come on, I know you're gonna remember this. We just did it. Yes, and it's called the forward script. So in the pile of scripts that we have in here, there's something called a forward script, and that stands for family, occupation, dreams. I'm sorry, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So what would dreams be? I mean, we're not getting up close and personal just because we sold someone a house and say, what are your dreams for the future? Dreams is defined as, you were talking about going on that vacation, or you said that your last child was going off to college, things like that. And that's what you're asking about. If you don't know what to say, you're using the forward script. It probably isn't this, just wanted to see how you were doing. That's just generic. You can say that maybe one time, but you can't do that on all 4 phone calls. It just starts to sound like you're just doing it purposely, right? So that's why we have some guides like the forward script, but also play around with it. Every human being is different, so every call can be different. If it was someone that I did real estate with last year, the call could be, how did the new house turn out in Florida that you moved to? Or how are things going with the new house? Did you guys end up putting in that pool? Those kind of things. I would highly recommend that as you start building your database, that you also make sure that you're friends with all these people on social media. Or make sure they friend request you. It's so funny to me. I find it really difficult to search people on Facebook if they don't use their name exactly as we know it. It's almost impossible sometimes. And I accidentally sometimes request the wrong person with the same name, and I'm like, oh, what did I do? Not that it matters, but you get the point. All right, so there's your first round of it, 4 touches. Somewhere in the conversation, you can sprinkle in real estate. One of the calls, and I would recommend you do this, put the topic of the call. First call is going to be, hey, just wanted to call and say hi. Second call could be forward script. Third call topic could be, hey, the holidays are coming, just wanted to call and see if you're doing anything fun. By the way, I'm looking to build my goals for next year, and I wondered if you can help me out, if you know of anybody who's thinking about buying or selling. I'm trying to sell 24 houses next year. That's a great year-end call. Even your beginning call. Hey, Bree, it's Gina. Just wanted to call and say hi. How were the holidays? Oh my gosh, can you believe we have such a cold winter? Hey, I wondered if you can help me with something. I'm wanting to sell 25 houses this year, and I just wondered if there was anyone that you ever know of that's thinking about buying or selling. If you'll keep me in mind. So that's how you sprinkle in the real estate. I wrote this down. I've been thinking a lot about what are some of the things we used to do as a group in coaching, that we've grown this big library of all these trainings and stuff, but what's some stuff that we did in the beginning that really I know worked, and I need to really focus on some of that. And one of those things was we did a call night. So once a month we would do a call night, and we would all come in the training room, and one of our sponsors would bring pizza or something like that, and we would make it a little bit fun. We would script for about 30 minutes and then go off and do our calls. And then at the end, we would give our, wins, what happened. And I'll never forget our very first call night. I don't think anyone on here was there then. When Bob Fletcher, I don't know if you guys know him or not, he was here and he was brand new. And he was very nervous about making calls to people that he knew and just talking about real estate. Like he was really, hesitant. The first person that he called, which was someone that he knew from an antique shop. So not a friend, not a family member, he antiques or whatever, he and his wife. And he called and she was like, are you kidding me right now? My husband and I have been talking about buying and selling right now for the past month. Those were his first 2 transactions. And I
Yeah.
tell him every time I bump into him occasionally here when he comes in, that I tell that story all the time because it's just true. And you never know when that's going to happen. So there's some ideas, but I would also say this, put them on your calendar, know who you're calling and know what your topic is. It makes it a little bit easier going into it, and then you can adjust, right? What do they say about systems? Learn the systems and then you can get creative later. Don't just go in loosey-goosey being too creative. You're in creative zone, it's going to be a disaster. You can't just always you can't get to be good at being in creative zone until you get the system down. What do they say about someone who's a baker? If you don't know how to originally bake a cake, you can't get creative in adding other ingredients later if you didn't know how to bake the cake to begin with. So keep that in mind. All right, next 12 touches, monthly newsletter. This makes it real easy, guys. Amanda creates a monthly newsletter in Command for us and emails it to you all once a month to be able to put into Command and use it as a campaign or a smart plan. It's already done for you. You can just plug and play, put your information on it, adjust it. I mean, there's some amazing newsletter templates in Canva, but don't make it more than it needs to be. It's being made for you, so feel free to use it. And that's a once a month thing. So that's a good touch right there. That's real easy that you can have set to already do that you don't have to spend any time on. The next one, the next 4 touches is a direct mailing. So I do the magnetic calendars at the end of the year, holiday and seasonal cards. Listen, there's more people in our culture that celebrate the holidays than not. So I love when people say, but what if someone doesn't celebrate Christmas? I'm going to get real harsh, so please brace yourself. I don't give a shit. I do. So if I do, and I'm going to worry about the 1 in 100 that doesn't to stop me, I'm more offended that you don't do it because you're afraid of offending somebody. Because when I get a happy holidays, I'm like, what happened to Merry Christmas? It's okay. There's so few that don't, that I'm okay if someone says I don't. There's always someone to offend out there. Like even with gifts, somebody said, I want to give a bottle of wine as in my basket, but gosh, what if someone doesn't drink? Again, I'm sure they understand. I can't be responsible if I offer a bottle of wine to an alcoholic that I know they're an alcoholic. So it's up to you how you want to be. I'm just not that way, nonetheless. So I'm all about the Merry Christmas or Happy New Year if I didn't get my Christmas cards out. Some of you have heard me say it before. This year, I followed suit. Rather than doing Christmas cards, I actually did Thanksgiving. I rotate it, but I get way more responses from my Thanksgiving cards than I've ever gotten from my Christmas cards. And that's only because of one reason. Nobody else sends out Thanksgiving
I've
cards.
heard that before.
Yeah. And it kickstarts the season. So I'll go to someone's house and my Thanksgiving card is on their fridge and they haven't started getting Christmas cards yet because they keep it.
The only one.
It's the only one up there. So be creative with that in some kind of a mailing. So that's 4 times a year. Marketing information, it could be lots of different ideas there. Postcards that you co-brand with one of our lending partners. There's all kinds of stuff that they can help you with in that regard as well. 12 social media touches, like, comment on a post. Liking doesn't count if you don't comment. And that's pretty easy for you to do only 12. So I would challenge you to say that's a low number. But this is a bare minimum of. So you should be engaging and causing engagement on your social media with these people. 1 touch a year. This could be 2, but I wanted to keep it inexpensive and in line with the 36 touch campaign, which is a pop by. So this would be like a fall pumpkin, a spring flower with your business card. You can do gingerbread houses at Christmas time. I mean, I recently went in the chat and put all kinds of pop by ideas that I found online just because I was on Instagram and it popped up and I saw all kinds of cool little ideas that you can do for pop buys. I love the just popping by to say hi with a bag of popcorn. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do. That's just a 1 touch a year. So I will say I stay within my boundaries of my top 50 on this one.
On the public.
Yep, I don't want to spend more than that and I don't want to run around to more than 50. I'll be honest, after 10, I'm like, what did I think? What was I doing? These people don't all live close.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. I usually do the inexpensive mums, the smaller mums that they have at Petiti's. I think they're like $6 or something. So that makes that really inexpensive. So that's something fun to do. And then people like it, make sure that they know it was you. Have your business card. We used to do something called egging where we had a big egging day where we filled little plastic eggs with candy and put them in a basket and then go and deliver those to the houses on, the weekend before Easter. And I think a couple of times I had my granddaughter come with me and she kind of, hid them around the yard in visual sight. So the people who have little kids, but like, I remember one year someone said, where did my eggs I didn't get my eggs this year. And I'm like, well, I didn't do it this year. So like people will grow to be like, where's my mom? So because you're going to do it, you're going to start doing it consistently. And then 2 touches would be a text message asking if they know of anyone who's thinking about buying or selling or investing in property. So that is 2 texts in addition to the 4 calls.
Okay.
Right? And then you can get creative. You can do a video text. You can do, there's just a lot of fun things that you can do. That's not just a simple, hey, do you know of anybody? Right. So you'll get creative with it. And then I'll get to the chat here in a second. And then the last one is a invite coffee meeting. Hey, let's get together for coffee. Because remember, these aren't strangers. This is not a list of people you're cold calling. It's not someone that I just met at open house 3 months ago. That would be weird, right? So like, you're not going to call them and say, how's the family necessarily? Because one time at open house, they don't know who the hell I am now, So this is someone that you know and that you're nurturing. Make sense? Thanks, Raja. Thank you, Kim. Questions about that? And make it your own. This is just a guide.
I do have a question.
Mhm.
So like a business pop by, if it's someone you don't know, how do you follow through with touching them in the future after you've done pop by? So like a hair salon, like I made those.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna introduce,
Yes.
I'll drop it off, but
Yep.
how can I maintain if I'm not someone that typically does business there?
Yes, good question.
Or do you just
So-
focus on places you're doing business?
So this is not for that.
Oh, okay.
So this touch campaign isn't gonna be something that I
different
can
things.
maintain on a business
Okay.
campaign, but I'll answer your
So that's more
question.
of like farming, like
This is,
wider.
right,
Okay.
this is set for your, specifically for your top 50 database.
Okay.
Right? And then of course, you know, if I wanted to add in there people I sold a house to this year. Your top 50 database
What's
should
that
never
top
be
50?
51, by the way. You're not trying to grow your top 50 database to be 60 or 70 or 100. It's 50. These are the people that I could get one piece of real estate from that I can convert, which could possibly get me anywhere from 12 to 25 transactions if I work it. There are people that only work their top 50 database so hard that they only sell houses to people that their top 50 database funneled to them. Like it's that simple if you work deep. You got to get a little bit wide, but then you've really got to go deep if you want business from it. So what you're talking about is like farming businesses.
Yes. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
your plan around that is you have to be really, really creative on two parts if you're going to do that. So what Alyssa said is, you know, bringing, let's say, donuts to a beauty salon. How do you keep up with them? Well, you needed to have a call to action on a flyer
Mhm.
with the donuts.
Mhm.
If you don't have that call to action on there, or what we call a MOFR, so make offer for immediate response, you'll have gave them donuts for free.
Mm.
If there's
Mhm.
not something that causes them to keep you in mind, they'll just remember that you were just another one of those people that stopped by with donuts.
Yeah.
And so two parts. Make sure that you have something that you're giving them a value
Mhm.
and that it has a call to action on it.
Mhm.
So what would be the value? Hey, here's what's going on in the industry. And then a call to action is contact me to see
Mhm.
what the value of your home is or something to that effect, right? There's a million different things. Honestly, I'd go on ChatGPT and say, here's what I'm doing. Give me 10 bullet points.
Okay.
And it's gonna spit out the content for you. So you don't have to be like, oh gosh, I have to think of all this stuff anymore. But then it's a layering effect. So we have a team here in the office that I'm gonna say, when I started coaching them, they started doing this maybe 4 years ago. She really wanted to get into the divorce attorney lane. And I will say before they got traction, it took about a year, but she didn't give up. So her and her team, they did donut pop-bys to divorce attorneys locally and then had a flyer to say what their services were. I think the first time it was just an intro.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't hitting them hard with, we want your business. It was more of an intro kind of a thing.
Mhm.
And then the second time that they popped by, they might have brought donuts and a jug of coffee from Starbucks, right? Now we're gonna make it, okay, they're stepping it up just a little bit. And like we see it here. You know how often there's boxes, I see 2 out there right now on the table. There's 2 boxes of candy out on the table. Don't know where they came from. They may have brought flyers originally. I'm sure it's some home warranty company, title company, or someone who wants our business. And now that candy just sits there. We don't even know why.
Mhm.
Right? So don't be that,
Mhm.
you know, because there's always food up there from somebody from something. And so then the next thing would be is you have to do it consistently.
Mhm.
Everything we do, if we don't have a layer plan and you don't do it consistency,
Mhm.
save yourself the time because you're just wasting time and money. It's kind of like I tell people when you're farming neighborhoods, if you aren't keeping track of where you've been and you don't go back or you don't send them something again and again and again, you've just wasted your
Yeah.
time.
Mhm.
Keep it small. I would also do this. It's not about spread it everywhere. I
Mhm.
wouldn't buy 10 dozen donuts and go to 10 different places. I would focus on now next week, I'm gonna do this. And now next week, I'm gonna do that. And maybe not every week, maybe it's once a month. People, time flies. So honestly, when you walk in after 30 days, they're gonna be like, oh, there she is again. Because it'll feel like it was just yesterday, because time goes so fast. I mean, Jesus, Christmas has already been almost 2 months ago. So, you know, do you answer your question?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yep.
And then do keep track.
'Cause
That's a whole
Those were, like,
database.
hooks in my mind. I was like, okay, this is good, but I just want to drop this off because you got to keep going. Like,
You can't let the not having a full plan stop you from moving
Yeah.
forward, but I also want you to have a little bit of a plan around it.
Mhm.
So what am I trying to achieve? You always ask yourself that question. What am I trying to achieve by doing this? And it's not just drop off some business cards with the gift, because that's a lot of people doing that too. We had a girl a few years ago whose husband was a firefighter, I'm gonna say in the Brewster area. And so she wanted to start bringing snacks and baskets and fun little treats to the different fire stations. And then what she did, what her flyer was she created within her own business a first responders discount for certain things. And so in her, like she would go, let's say at Valentine's Day with the basket and have cute little Valentine candies in the basket that looked kind of, that would pop. And then in there, there'd be little maybe tags or flyers that said, you know, first responders discount for the following things if you or someone in your family is looking to buy or sell. And what that was more of was a call to action was this: I'm not just giving you this. There could be a QR code or something that says contact me here for your discount packet. Not just I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
And then that way they call to action is now you're gonna get their phone number and email address. And what you need to do though is make sure that you've got a title company who will give them a discount for that. If that's an angle you wanna go, make sure that you partner with a lender who's gonna give them a discount for that, if they'll do it. Or other businesses, maybe there's a carpet company that will give discounts on carpet cleaning if they're listing their house. You gotta put some time and energy into putting something like that together if that's something that you wanna do, but that's something of value. And then I would social media blast that too. Contact me if you're a teacher or if you're heck, you can do servers and bartenders. Why not? For all you server and bartender friends out there, and saying that because I'm looking at you, Bree, if you want a discount coupon packet to buy or sell or someone that you know, contact me. And then you need to do this like question and answer registration. It's no different than when you do giveaways on social media. Like I know Ken's doing a Valentine's giveaway. Sam was just talking on Monday about her giveaway and she got 60 leads from it. And then they had to enter their information. And she had 5 questions. First, your name, your number, email address, and then answer these 5 questions. Have you thought about buying and selling in the past year? And if they want to be entered into the drawing for the basket of stuff, by the way, Ken's Valentine's giveaway, which I'm happy that he's doing, I told him to do it. And I love when I tell people to do it and they actually do it. I heard this at something, this wasn't a genius idea of mine. It was someplace that I heard someone talking about it, probably someone with a locker room, that a good Valentine's giveaway that doesn't cost you anything is to get a reservation at a hot local area for 2. And then you're auctioning off that reservation. You're not paying for their dinner. You're just, hey, did you wait too long to get your dinner reservation for Valentine's Day? Well, I'm going to give you mine. So enter into the drawing to get this reservation at, you know, Twisted Olive or the Marble Room, whatever. Make sense? All right, questions. So there's the touch plan. I wanted to also pull up this here. So this is 70, I have 150 ways that's similar to this, but I thought I'd pull this up because it was a little bit more fresh. So 71 ways to add clients to your database. So again, I'm not going to sit here and waste your time reading through these, but I just wanted to show you that that is in here. And there's a ton of different things that people have never thought of to do. The one that I have that's in the drive that's called 150 ways to grow your database, that is specific. Friends, family, neighbor, dentist office, it's lists like that. This is different because this is more host a game night at your house. Throw a block party for July 4th. Like this is more actionable items versus a list of potential people. So I'm not saying discount my 150 ways list because there might be, you can scan that list and think, never thought about my vet, you know, or something to that effect. I love this because when I looked at it, it wasn't just that. I thought it was just going to be another list like I already have. But this just gives you some great ideas of things that you can be doing. So please dig into this and look. We don't have to recreate the wheel, guys. It's already done for us. And all I did to find this, by the way, at 8 o'clock last night, was I went into the Locker Room University. I went into Agent Toolkit. So I don't know if all of you guys are using all of the stuff in the university. So besides the modules and Path 1 and Path 2, there's Agent Resources and Agent Toolkit. And when I went into the toolkit, I just typed in a topic, which was nurture your database. And then a bunch of this stuff came up. So that's how I found it, and I pulled it in so that you guys, now mind you, this is already in the drive for you, so you don't have to go hunting for it, but there's so much information in there that you guys can also have access to. One of the things I want to point out too, I didn't see it on here, but another great idea along these lines to build your database. Ashley Candia, who used to be in coaching and then she joined Jen Mucci's team, something that she did the past couple of summers was she lives in Lexington Farms. So she knows a lot of the neighbors. When they had a listing in there, she hosted a open house, and at her open house, when she did her invites to her open house, she had a icy truck come. And then invited all the neighbors to get one free icy. If they came also to the open house. And then she did it again during maybe the garage sale. It wasn't a block party. It was a garage sale. So different neighborhoods do different kinds of, like Nobles Pond does it all the time, where they have like, this is the garage sale weekend for Nobles Pond. Be the person who, if you have an inn in that neighborhood, rent some kind of a, food truck, if you will, for something inexpensive like ice cream or whatever like that. Swenson's not Swenson's, that's pretty pricey. But something that you can give away one free per person item that won't break the bank. Just another way of, getting some momentum and get some business there. I know quite a few of you heard, so Mason and I, not this past Halloween, the previous one, when we still lived in our house, what we did as another event, and I had him invite the neighbors, I had him invite everybody on social media. We did a lot of different blasting out of information about it with invites, and then created a whole social media campaign and group just to invite to this. What we did is I bought a backdrop and put it on my garage, got some hay stacks and pumpkins, and we decorated out in front of the garage. Since he takes pictures, we set up a photo booth. So everybody that came through trick or treating got a professional photo in front of the set that we had there. And all they had to do was sign in with their name, number, and email address. I mean, this is trick or treat. So what? And then we had them put, which kid was there, who was their kid. So we know we can send it to them. And then we started being like, how are we going to be able to decipher whose kid is whose to send them the photo? So we still kept the name, number, and email address on the sign in to be able to get your photo. But then also here's a QR code to join the Facebook group, where we're going to dump all the photos. So you can go in there and pull your kid's photo off. And then at the end of the day, we're going to do a vote. We did a survey in the group that everybody could vote on the winner. And then we pulled a winner. And then they got a $25 Amazon gift card. So I think he ended up with 150 people that signed in from trick or treat. So just another active thing. And listen, we weren't bashful about, and I wasn't involved in it, I wanted him to do it. He had his business card sitting there. He wore his Keller Williams shirt. This was not I'm afraid that I'm going to have people think that I'm trying to sell them something. No, I want you to know that I'm a local agent that live here in the neighborhood, going to do this photo shoot. Also, I think it got him some business to do photos too. So just another little activity that you can do. Trick or treat's easy because people are coming to you. So I thought it would be worth mentioning just because we're on this page here. So lots of different ideas, sponsorships, things like that are listed here. I want to show you the activity tracker. So here, this is one you can use. This is the PDF, so you can go in and print it. If you don't like it, go ahead and copy the ideas and plug in the things that you want to do. Make it a little bit bigger. You can budget out your week and your goal and your totals of how many contacts, how many lunch meetings. You get the point. If I'm not going to do something, replace it with something else. But I think keeping track is a big way of, in a year's time, when you have so many transactions, it's nice to look back and say, where did that business actually come from? Couple other resources in here that I also like. This was another tracking system. So this is more similar to that DT-D2 system. Because remember, the locker rooms was a KW startup. They started through KW. So he just took my point, the A and Z, B and Y, and so on. You can do that or don't do that. Either way, here's a great way, another tracker to keep track of how many social media posts, how many comments, how many likes, how many DMs, what are my monthly goals, quarterly, weekly, all of that. I would love, love, love to see you guys using some kind of a tracker and see where you land. And maybe that's something that we incorporate into our regular one-on-ones is where are you at with this stuff? More similar to what we're doing in phase 3 of coaching. I know I'm going fast. Any questions? I'm going to end with this. We've talked about this quite a bit over the past few weeks. And while I was in the locker room resources, I saw this and I thought I'd pull this up, and I do think it's relevant to be in our nurture database. I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, we did that exercise where we said, okay, what is your unique value proposition? We asked those questions and you guys were answering to come up with what your unique value proposition is. And we've been talking this year a lot about what's my ideal day in real estate look like? Because it's my business and I get to say how I prefer my day to be, right? It's not going to necessarily, you don't have to be realistic about it. You can just say, what does my ideal day in real estate look like? And then you just kind of build out from there. And then your ideal client. So whenever we ask that question, who's your ideal client? People always say, well, everyone. Of course it's everyone. But like ideal clients. So who's my ideal client? For me, they are a seller. I prefer to work with sellers than buyers. So they are a seller. They live in Jackson Township. If I'm going to go with ideal, it's going to be where I live. I live in Jackson. They live in Nobles Pond, or they live in the Meadowlands, or they live in a neighborhood that I want to do real estate in. Their house is over 500,000. They're a happily married couple and they're nice. My ideal client, whatever that may look like to you, everyone, it's different. We can start with dreamland stuff, right? This is what I want. Everyone says I want to sell luxury real estate. Well, great. We don't live in California, but we can make that our starting point, right? Anyway, so I saw this and I thought it was worth pulling in and mentioning. So it's your ideal client avatar, same kind of thing, can guide you to answer those questions, how to create that. I'm not going to walk through every single thing I pulled in here, but there's a bunch of different stuff in here that you guys can go through and look. I also wanted to mention this. I added, because I just talked about this on Monday. Remember when I said I went and did a networking coffee meeting on Monday with those roofer siding guys? I just happened to find this in the locker room and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. So I'm going to be putting together a network group, and I won't use all of these, but it was a great tracker to be able to say, okay, I've got a ductwork cleaning guy, I got a driveway guy, I got a deck fence guy. There's two purposes of why you might want to fill this pipeline up. It's because, one, I want a list to be able to give to my clients. Oh, you need to build a new deck? Here's my deck guy. Oh, you need a plumber? Here's my plumber. It's a great value. Heck, it could be a social media post, and it could be something that you also add to your call to action. Hey, I've got this fantastic vetted vendors list of personal people I work with. If you need a vendors list of everybody that, I mean, listen, guys, there's even people that pick up dog poop. My daughter pays someone to pick up dog poop. I didn't even know that was such a thing. So there's people that do everything. I know that sounds funny. In any case, that might be of value to someone. Hey, I've got this fantastic vendors list, and you can get a little more wordy with it. To get your copy, contact me. That's a call to action that's offering something of value. So here's another guide and a tracker for that. And all of this pertaining, of course, to database.
The whole thing to your client, or just like crop it with the section that they need.
I would use this at either. I might make it a little prettier for them, this would be my guide to keep track. I would use this as my Excel spreadsheet to make the list. And then I'd probably go into Canva and pretty it up a little bit to make it a PDF.
Yeah.
Is what I would do, what I'm going to do. I'm gonna leave you with this. The amazing work from home lead generate challenge. So most of us work at the office and from home. This is something that I know the locker room has been talking about lately, kicking off. So I wanted to show it to you here. It is it's a challenge. So how can I follow this, get a point system going for myself? I probably am gonna choose a month because we don't have a contest for February. Maybe I'll do this in March, I'm not sure. But I wanted to make you familiar with it because I think this could be our next good contest, right? I need to find one of our vendors and see what kind of goods they're gonna give us for something to be able to make it very fun and enticing, but I wanted to point that out to you guys as well. Might be a good topic for month of March. All right, guys, any questions? Thoughts? I'm gonna do it, I'm not gonna do it. This was great information. I've heard it all before. Any comments at all? Helpful.
I'm definitely gonna take the Easter egg hunt.
Awesome. It's one little thing, right? It's just something that you're gonna add to the things you already do. I love it.
Right.
And Easter's coming, so that's great. Thanks, Kim. All right, guys. Well, have a great rest of your day, and we do have scripting tomorrow, so I will see you on Zoom at 10 for scripting. Thanks, guys.